Last year, the board of the church, in recognition of the significant growth that's happening here, commissioned a finance team. So the finance team started meeting in the last quarter of the year. I want you to know who those people are. If you're on the finance team, would you just stand? Please stand, grab Bill Tillman. Jeff's not here with us today, and Carol Mortis. So if you have any financial questions about the church, we now have people that you can identify. Thank you for standing. This is a very brief presentation. It's very focused on just the new property. So I will not be able to handle questions. I'll be over at the house, or if you want to talk to any of the people in the finance team. Robert, next. Now, the finance team is committed to biblical stewardship practices. In 2024, when the team was established, first thing we looked at was some priorities. Did you know we have 4 staff members now? Very few years ago, we only had 1. So what an indication of the growth and the blessings on this church. Our staff is the #1 financial priority of the church. So we take that very seriously, that our staff be fairly compensated for the work that they did. And then the big thing for this new year is we incorporated this new property, and we loosely call it Ella. We incorporated Ella. We had to bring in the operating expenses, things that are not funded, that are not part of the budget, and looking into the future. We have 13 acres there. There's going to be a Calvary Chapel structure there as God blesses us. Robert, next. Now, the backup one, Robert. Okay. Functioning of this team. This team reports directly to the board of directors. We are committed to financial transparency. We're going to begin having church-wide meetings periodically to where you can come and find out any questions you have about how the church finances work. We're going to be doing that the first quarter. Now, it'll be a combination of an in-person meeting with Zoom available. So everybody in the church, wherever you are, will be able to participate in that. Next, Robert. Now, here's some details. We negotiated a price of $710,000, and based on what the pastor just said, 13 acres and a 3,000 square foot house for $710,000. Was that a God deal or what? Now, the finance team operating in wisdom, we could have paid cash for the house. But here's the structure of how we acquired the property. We took our savings and we took our CDs, and we made a down payment of $410,000. We did not take a mortgage. We have 2 promissory notes. Those notes are at 5.5% interest. That's $16,500 of new interest that is a part of the budget for this year that we pay the interest. But on a promissory note, unlike a mortgage, there's not a mortgage payment, is we will pay that off in timing in terms of the giving for the church. Next one, Robert. Now, here's a snapshot of the expenses. First of all, the interest on that $300,000. House has to have electricity. House has to have somebody taking care of that 13 acres of property. We're putting goats on it, I think, to help with that. We all living in Florida are impacted by property insurance. The insurance on that is about $11,000 a year. How would you like to pay that much for your house insurance? And then we budgeted to start about $15,000 for initial furnishings. That's not a lot of money for furnishings, but we're being very conservative in what we're committing to. So 2024, $55,000 allocated in expenses for maintaining the property. Robert, next. Now, here are what are called unbudgeted needs. things that have to do with finance but are not in the budget. So paying off that $300,000, that's not a budgeted item. People have always been very generous. That's why we were able to acquire this house. And as people are called to give, that's one of the commitments. If you hand Stan a check and say this goes to retiring that promissory note, that's what it'll be used for. When we're talking about what do we do in the future in terms of a structure, well, that's a pretty big and detailed situation. Just the retainers to find people to come and work, $40,000 retainer for pre-construction testing, and another for the architect and engineer. Again, these are not funded. They are a part of what we will be doing in the future. And then the whole bigger question, what kind of structure, building, does God have in mind for us? Most Calvary chapels we've ever visited are very conservative. We don't build huge monstrosities of buildings, but don't know what God has, but going to take some considerable thought for that. Next one. Now here's what's going to happen this year. One of the things that started last year when Mark came on as the operational guy is we have a number of functioning teams now of you people seated right here. We have a development team, a property team, and now a finance team. These are going to be collaborating and planning out the future, both for the house that we've acquired and for the future building. The design of how we're using the inside, it's got a good plan to start, and it's only when we get in there and try it that we find out is this the best or what things we need to modify. Several women have done a marvelous job of finding incredible bargains in furnishings. So you're going to get to see that today. I went over yesterday for the first time. I was astounded at how quickly all of that's coming together. And then scheduling all the usage of that. Many of our existing teams that meet are going to be meeting there at Ella. And because we have a property and a very nice home there that we're going to be utilizing, there's going to be all types of opportunities we haven't been able to do before because we had no place to meet. Now, finally, we're getting ready to go over. Remember, just a couple of months ago, Ella was primarily a horse farm. So if you park in the grass, watch where you step, okay? We are going to be using that starting this month for our meetings, the women's ministry, and several team meetings. Now, what's happened since we acquired the property less than 2 months ago is a ton of you people sitting right here have gone in and started working. If you've been over to do anything at the property, whether it was to paint or cut down trees or all of those different things, would you stand? If you've been a part of the work that's gone on there, would you all stand, please? So I hope you can go over today. I think you're going to be blessed when you turn in and see how beautiful the property is and then go in and look around. And there'll be staff members over there to ask your questions. So let's close out with a song and then go to visit. If you need the address, it's 420 Lake Ella Road. Very easy to find from here. And we'll see you over there. God bless.